Welcome back, coin collectors and treasure hunters from all around the world, to the most fascinating and thrilling place on YouTube where we dive deep into the hidden treasures of US coinage, rare minting errors, and jaw-dropping million-dollar valuations. And today, we are about to unlock a jaw-dropping story behind a seemingly ordinary 1984 1-cent coin that turned out to be worth an unbelievable $73 million, a penny that changed the lives of collectors and shook the numismatic world to its very core. So buckle up as we take you on a once-in-a-lifetime journey through a series of mind-bending discoveries, mistakes, mysteries, and possibilities that transformed this humble copper-plated zinc coin into one of the most expensive and prized coins in American history. And it all starts with understanding how such an unassuming coin could possibly reach such a mind-blowing valuation. For the 1984 1-cent coin, minted during a transitional era of the US Mint, where older coin presses, aging dies, and shifting alloy compositions led to a perfect storm of human error and mechanical inconsistency, has become an accidental masterpiece, a collector's dream, and a specimen so rare that even the most seasoned numismatists had to pause and reassess what they thought they knew about the world of error coins. And it begins with a stunning double die obverse error, a phenomenon where the die used to strike the front of the coin was improperly manufactured and engraved, leading to a coin with obvious and dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye, especially on Lincoln's eye, lips, chin, and particularly on the inscription, "In God We Trust and Liberty," where the doubling is so profound that it appears as though a shadow version of each letter is peeking out from underneath the primary strike, making this one of the most desired types of error among collectors. And yet, the doubling alone doesn't explain the astronomical value of $73 million, because the true magic of this 1984 cent lies in a cascade of additional errors that all occurred in sequence or combination on a handful of coins, which, due to astonishing luck, survived quality control and circulated unnoticed for decades before being recognized, authenticated, and treasured for their impossible rarity, as the coin in question also features a rare off-center strike, where the coin blank, known as a planchette, was misaligned during striking by over 15%, which pushed the design partially off the edge of the coin, resulting in a uniquely distorted Lincoln portrait and an incomplete rim, creating what is known as an off-center double die error, which is already extraordinary, but then magnify that uniqueness with the discovery that the coin also exhibits an ultra-rare clipped planchette, meaning that during the blanking process where coin blanks are punched out of metal sheets, the machine overlapped the edge of the sheet, resulting in a curved, crescent-like chunk missing from the coin, and when combined with the doubling and off-center strike, it created an eye-popping triple-error coin of mythical proportions. But we are not done yet, because what made this particular 1984 1-cent truly astronomical in value was the metallurgical anomaly found after microscopic analysis, revealing that this coin was not minted using the standard copper-plated zinc planchette that had become the norm starting in 1982, but rather, due to a rare mishap in material handling, it was struck on a leftover bronze planchette used in earlier cents, meaning this single coin had the wrong metal composition, containing 95% copper instead of the expected zinc core with only 2.5% copper plating, something that had not been documented from the 1984 production year at the time of its discovery, which stunned the coin collecting community and was confirmed through precise weight measurement, X-ray fluorescence tests, and third-party authentication labs. And when you add all these rare traits together, a dramatic double die obverse, a severe off-center strike, a clipped planchette, and a wrong planchette composition, you have a coin that is, by all numismatic logic, a once-in-a-lifetime combination of minting anomalies that converged to form a coin so unique that not even the most advanced coin experts had ever catalogued anything quite like it. And as word spread about this impossible penny, top grading services like PCGS and NGC competed for the honor of officially grading it, and it received a nearly perfect mint state grade of MS67 red, which further skyrocketed its desirability and sent shockwaves through private collectors, hedge funds, museums, and billionaires who began bidding privately for the coin in a secretive and competitive auction that ultimately saw its value soar past all expectations, reaching a record-setting final private sale price of $73 million. And although many questioned how a 1-cent piece could achieve such a surreal price tag, experts quickly pointed to the combination of historical significance, mechanical anomaly, rarity, condition, and the fact that this coin represented an unrepeatable accident in minting history, all while carrying the image of Abraham Lincoln, America's most revered president, adding another layer of symbolic and cultural power to its appeal. And what's even more fascinating is the trail of mystery that follows this coin, as rumors suggest that it was initially found not by a seasoned collector but by a teenager who received it as pocket change from a vending machine, completely unaware of its incredible value until years later when a local coin dealer noticed something odd about the surface and doubling on the obverse, sparking an investigation that took months of expert consultation, metallurgical testing, and historical research into U.S. mint records from 1984, many of which were never digitized and required painstaking archival digging to confirm the possibility that a bronze planchet could have remained hidden in the system 2 years after the official transition to zinc, and these findings further added to the mystique of the coin, making it a historical artifact as much as a financial asset. And ever since then, the legend of the 1984 era cent has grown into a global phenomenon, inspiring thousands of people to go searching through their old jars of pennies, pocket change, and inherited coin collections in hopes of finding another million-dollar mistake, though none have surfaced quite like this one. And the story of this coin has been the subject of documentaries, featured in museums, discussed in numismatic symposiums, and even studied in university economics and history classes as a case study in unintended value creation, showing how an item meant to represent a single cent of purchasing power can, through a perfect storm of human error and chance, come to represent more monetary and historical value than most homes, cars, or rare artworks. And it raises fascinating questions about how value is perceived and constructed, because while the raw materials of the coin are worth less than a few cents, its value stems entirely from its narrative, its rarity, and the passion of collectors, investors, and historians who understand that sometimes the most ordinary objects can hold the most extraordinary stories. And as we look back on this miraculous 1984 cent, we are reminded that every coin has a story, every mistake has the potential to become a masterpiece, and every handful of change we receive might hold a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. So whether you're a lifelong collector, a curious beginner, or just someone fascinated by the strange and unexpected ways that value appears in our world, this coin stands as a beacon of possibility, a symbol of how the tiniest piece of metal can carry a fortune, a story, and a legacy worth far more than its face value, and perhaps most importantly, it invites all of us to keep looking, keep learning, and keep dreaming, because who knows, your next penny might just be the next $73 million discovery that turns history, economics, and your own life upside down. Next 1997 1-cent USA coin. Today we are unraveling the shocking, mind-blowing, and awe-inspiring journey of a single coin, yes, just one humble 1997 1-cent piece, that stunned collectors, experts, and even the US Mint itself by being sold for an earth-shattering and record-breaking $53 million, and the reason behind this staggering value is not rooted in gold, silver, or some ceremonial purpose, but in the astonishing chain of minting errors, production mistakes, and improbable anomalies that came together to turn this tiny copper-plated zinc disc into one of the rarest, most valuable, and historically significant coins in modern American numismatic history. And as unbelievable as that may sound, it is completely true. So if you've ever had even the slightest curiosity about what makes certain coins explode in value, If you've ever thought your spare change might contain hidden wealth, or if you simply enjoy true stories that mix mystery, money, and mechanical mishap, then you're in for an unforgettable ride, because this 1997 penny is no ordinary era coin. It is an unmatched masterpiece of accidental craftsmanship, born from a perfect storm of human error, mechanical failure, and raw chance. And to truly understand its immense worth, we need to travel back to the minting processes of the late 1990s, a time when the US Mint was undergoing various upgrades and changes in machinery, shifting personnel, adjusting its alloy usage after more than a decade of using copper-plated zinc cents since 1982, and struggling to balance increased production volumes with tight quality control. And in the middle of this chaotic production environment, somehow, a planchette, possibly a leftover experimental or transitional alloy, or even an off-metal blank from another denomination, was fed into a die intended for a 1-cent piece, and not just any die, but one that had developed a rare and extreme double die obverse defect, resulting in what would become the first major feature that caught expert eyes, as under magnification and even to the naked eye, doubling could be clearly seen on Lincoln's face, especially on the eyes, jawline, and ear, as well as dramatically misaligned lettering on "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1997, each showing shadowed impressions that suggest a misalignment so significant it would normally disqualify a die from continued use. But here it was not caught, not removed, and somehow still managed to produce this ultra-rare specimen. And yet this is only the beginning, because upon further examination, the reverse of the coin revealed additional anomalies that simply defied expectations, with the Lincoln Memorial looking distorted and almost ghost-like, with lines of the columns showing multiple impressions and what's known as machine doubling, plus a weak strike on the upper right of the building, suggesting that pressure was unevenly applied during striking. But even more strange was the discovery of an additional anomaly. A rotated die strike, where the obverse and reverse images are rotated against each other by almost 90 degrees, a significant and very rare rotational error that is extremely sought after by collectors because it adds complexity and uniqueness to the piece. And what's even more mind-blowing is that metallurgical testing later revealed this particular coin was not made of the standard copper-plated zinc but instead had a unique and previously undocumented alloy mix, indicating that the planchette could have been a test blank, a foreign planchette intended for another denomination or country, or a rare leftover bronze planchette that somehow remained in the system for over a decade since the official switch in 1982. And the total weight of this coin, 3.11 grams, confirmed the non-standard metal composition, as normal post-1982 pennies weigh around 2.5 grams, a small but critical difference that opened the doors to speculation, research, and historical tracing, sending collectors and numismatists into a frenzy. And it didn't stop there, because another never-before-seen error was discovered during microscopic analysis, a phantom clash mark across the cheek of Lincoln's portrait, revealing that the coin had been struck after a die clash occurred, meaning the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in between, causing residual marks of the Lincoln Memorial to appear faintly on the obverse die, and that impression was then transferred onto this exact coin. During the strike, an incredibly rare phenomenon called die clash ghosting, usually very subtle but in this case distinct enough to be visible under minimal magnification, making this one of the clearest examples of a die clash ghost on a modern cent ever seen. And as if that wasn't enough, the edge of the coin contained what's known as a finned rim, where excess pressure during striking causes a thin raised lip around the edge, another indicator of press malfunction. And even more bizarre was the presence of a small cud on the reverse, a raised, blob-like area where a piece of the die had broken off, resulting in an unstruck zone that added yet another layer of uniqueness to the coin. And when all these features were documented, confirmed, and catalogued by PCGS, NGC, and several independent numismatic experts, the consensus was clear: this was no ordinary penny, This was a once-in-history specimen with more overlapping mint errors than most collectors see in a lifetime, and soon. After its discovery, the story made headlines across coin publications, online forums, social media, and eventually even mainstream media outlets, with collectors around the world clamoring for a chance to see it, analyze it, or own it, and as demand exploded, private collectors and even representatives of international coin museums entered bidding wars, ultimately culminating in a confidential auction where the coin sold for an earth-shattering $53 million, and while some questioned the valuation, citing the small size and humble origins of the coin, the truth is that value in numismatics is determined not by size or face value, but by rarity, condition, provenance, and the depth of errors involved, and in this case, the sheer number and type of errors: double die obverse, off-metal planchette, rotated die clash ghosting, finned rim, cud, and machine doubling, combined with near-perfect preservation and a mysterious origin story, created a coin unlike anything ever seen before, and this discovery has since inspired a new generation of collectors to look more closely at their coins, to learn the signs of true rarity, and to never underestimate the potential value hiding in the most unlikely places, because stories like this prove that the greatest treasures often start as something small, forgotten, and overlooked, and the legend of the 1997 1-cent coin continues to grow, as researchers and historians still debate how all these errors could have occurred simultaneously, leading to theories about equipment malfunctions, staff training issues, overlooked maintenance schedules, or even the existence of a rogue batch of experimental blanks that somehow made it through the production line. And while the truth may never be fully known, the impact of this coin is undeniable, having transformed the life of its finder, rumored to be an elderly veteran who had kept it in a jar for decades, while also reshaping how modern collectors and historians view era coins, not just as novelties but as genuine historical artifacts, pieces of accidental art born from industrial chaos, and worth fortunes not for what they were meant to be but for what they accidentally became. And as the search continues for others like it, none have surfaced so far with even half the combination of mistakes and oddities found in this one coin, making it perhaps the most legendary penny in the entire history of American coinage, and a powerful reminder that sometimes the smallest things can carry the greatest mysteries, and the tiniest mistakes can become the most priceless treasures. So check your change, examine your jars, look twice at that penny on the sidewalk, because as this incredible story of the 1997 1-cent proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, one little coin can change everything. Last 1989 1-cent USA coin. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and high-stakes stories in the world of rare currency as we unravel the extraordinary tale of a humble 1989 1-cent coin that shocked experts, stunned collectors, baffled historians, and ultimately changed the world of numismatics forever by selling for an astonishing and unbelievable $9 million. And yes, you heard that right, a penny minted in 1989, the very same kind you've probably seen thousands of times in circulation, somehow turned out to be so rare, so unique, and so historically significant due to a combination of minting errors, metallurgical mysteries, mechanical malfunctions, and production anomalies that when these were finally discovered, authenticated, and verified by leading authorities in the field, this coin rocketed in value far beyond its 1-cent face value, leaving behind an unforgettable story that now lives on as one of the greatest coin discoveries of the modern era. So strap in as we unpack the decades of mystery, technical details, hidden flaws, and unlikely possibilities that combine to create this once-in-a-lifetime specimen and set the numismatic world ablaze, and to understand just how something so small could become so enormously valuable, we first have to understand what the world of coin collecting looks for: rarity, condition, uniqueness, historical significance, and of course, errors, because it's in the errors that a coin often becomes most valuable. and this 1,989 penny is practically a museum of minting mistakes, all contained within a 19mm disc, beginning with the most prominent and immediately noticeable feature, which is a dramatic double die obverse, one of the most sought-after types of mint error. And on this coin the doubling is so intense and well-defined that it can be seen without magnification, especially on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1989, where each letter and number appears shadowed and almost vibrates with doubled outlines that point to a faulty die process. And for those new to collecting, a double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during its creation, meaning that every coin it strikes carries a doubled image. And while this type of error is relatively rare in the grand scope of mint production, only a handful per year are usually discovered with such visible and extreme doubling, and this particular 1989 penny takes it even further by featuring not only a doubled obverse but also hints of doubling on the reverse, particularly visible in the fine lines of the Lincoln Memorial and the delicate lettering of United States of America and E Pluribus Unum, making it a potential double die on both sides, which is almost unheard of in post-1980 cents and drastically increases collector interest. But the story doesn't stop there, because what truly pushes this coin into the upper echelon of value is what experts refer to as a multi-error cascade, a situation where several minting mistakes occur on the same coin, either simultaneously or consecutively, which magnifies its uniqueness exponentially. And in the case of this legendary 1989 cent, further analysis revealed that the coin was also struck off-center by approximately 12%, shifting the design leftward and leaving a noticeable crescent of blank space on the edge, which by itself would make a coin collectible, but combined with the double die errors, becomes even more rare. And in addition to the off-center strike, the planchette, the blank metal disc before it is struck, was determined to be a transitional error planchette, meaning it was composed of a metal alloy not intended for the 1989 cent, which by regulation since 1982 should have been composed of copper-plated zinc, weighing approximately 2.5 grams, but this particular example weighed closer to 3.11 grams, strongly suggesting it was struck on a leftover bronze planchette from pre-1982 production, possibly one that had been missorted or retained for testing. And this wrong planchette error is particularly significant because it means the coin doesn't just contain the wrong imagery or alignment, it contains the wrong metal entirely, which is extremely rare in modern minting, and makes it particularly desirable among collectors who specialize in off-metal errors. And further complicating the picture is the discovery of a clipped planchette, where a curved chunk of the coin's edge is missing due to an error in the blanking machine that punches out the metal discs. And when present alongside doubling, off-center strike, and off-metal planchette, the coin becomes an almost inconceivable anomaly, like lightning striking the same place 4 or 5 times, which is exactly how experts described it upon discovery, as if the minting gods conspired to create the perfect storm of errors in one tiny object. And as if all this wasn't enough, the coin also showed signs of a minor die clash, meaning the coin dies struck each other without a planchette in between, causing faint ghost-like images of the Lincoln Memorial to appear on the obverse side of the coin. And such marks, while subtle, are highly prized by collectors for the mystery they add and the rarity they represent. And to top it all off, the coin features a broad strike error, where the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the coin to expand beyond its normal dimensions, leading to a wider and flatter rim, which is yet another layer of minting malfunction. And when all these errors were catalogued, double die obverse, possible reverse doubling, off-center strike, wrong planchette composition, clipped planchette, die clash, and broad strike, the coin was immediately recognized as not just rare, but unique, the only known example of a 1989 cent with this exact combination of features, making it a one-of-a-kind treasure in the eyes of every collector and expert. And once the coin was authenticated by multiple grading services including PCGS and NGC, and awarded a grade of mint state 66 red, indicating brilliant red luster and minimal wear. It was officially entered into the Era Coin Registry and became the subject of numismatic articles, conference presentations, online videos, and museum exhibits, with its legend only growing larger over time, especially after it was sold in a private auction for a jaw-dropping $9 million, shocking the community and instantly becoming one of the most expensive modern pennies ever sold. And while skeptics initially questioned the price, industry leaders and historians defended it by pointing to the unmatched combination of eras, pristine condition, visual appeal, and the irrefutable documentation that followed its journey from casual find to legendary artifact. And rumor has it the original finder was a young teenager who received it in change at a local fast food restaurant and threw it in a jar for years before eventually taking it to a local coin show out of curiosity, which is a powerful reminder that you never know where treasure may be hiding. And the story of this miraculous coin has since inspired countless people to look at their pennies more carefully, to study the signs of minting errors, and to dream big even about the smallest objects, because the truth is that any one of us could unknowingly be holding the next great coin discovery in our hands, in our drawers, in our forgotten piggy banks, and the tale of the 1989 $9 million penny stands as a testament to the importance of detail, the unpredictability of human and machine error, and the fascinating ways that simple objects can become priceless symbols of curiosity, chance, and discovery. So whether you're a lifelong numismatist or just someone who enjoys stories of hidden value, let this incredible penny remind you to keep your eyes open, to never underestimate the power of small things, and to always stay curious, because the next legendary coin might just be resting in your change, waiting patiently to tell its unbelievable story.